This is game number 1 of the best of 3 finals of the Go for SC2 monthly finals. A difference of €150 on the line. Winner of this series walks away with €300. Second place, 150. Either way, a pretty nice payday. Spawning to the north, we've got the yellow Zerg player. Representing Alien Invasion, none other than Golden. And his opponent, to the south. The orange Protoss player, representing my insanity. It is Stardust. I just had the pleasure of casting the semi-final game of Stardust versus MMA, which was 2-1 for Stardust. It was amazing. Seriously, my goodness, it was great. It was like dreams were made of that series. And those players are just so ridiculously talented. That was a PvT though. How's Stardust going to face off in a PvZ? He played this map earlier on tonight, if I'm not mistaken. And he did exactly this. A cannon rush. Is it going to work for him though? Down comes Golden. He sees, yes, that is a forge. I'm not going to go and make that hatchery. He was considering it, but goes, no. I'm not going to go hatch pull, which is what Golden did earlier on this evening on this map. Instead, he's going to play it safe. Drone on its way down now. Probe came to have a little look around. It's going to go, okay, yep, that's a spawning pool, but it's quite late. You were planning to go hatch pool, weren't you? Down comes the pylon. Overlord is in range to see it, and now he should see some drones get pulled. Meanwhile, a probe being chased around the pylon by a drone. Not something you see every day. And Stardust utilising the map to perfection. Walls himself in completely. Note a difference in response here from Golden. He's not going to pull any more drones. He's just going to sit back and wait patiently. Earlier on this evening, it was Stardust versus Teffel. And Teffel defended this by pulling everything. Whereas, actually, this time, Golden's going to cancel his natural base, move the drone down, and take the third instead. Interesting way to play it. Golden's also proxying his opponent's natural base. He's saying, well, if I can't have a natural, you can't have a natural. It's only fair. But the double cannon from Stardust may have something to say about that. No third base yet from Golden. He doesn't have enough minerals for the time being. He's also somewhat contained inside his main. It's going to be tough breaking this. Running Lings past will be a bit awkward. Hatchery needs to get cancelled. Does get cancelled. Drone dies instantly. Still a bit of goop there. And goop is always annoying. Stops, obviously, the hatchery. The Nexus coming down because of the hatchery there. A probe successfully identified that yes, the third base is being ninjaed. And a couple of Lings going to sneak around the back here. Unfortunately, ice or rocks or anything like that has 3 armor and 2000 HP. A Zergling deals 5 damage, but only 2 per hit against rocks or ice, meaning it's very slow to take him out. Cautious play by Golden now, running this Zergling about just to keep an eye on any attempt for a cannon rush of the third. Meanwhile, Stardust still has no way of knowing these rocks are getting taken out. Won't probably have seen the health bar at the brief glimpse he had of it. And once these Lings get up into the main, it could be quite difficult for Stardust to defend this. Natural base now up, but Stardust still denying the natural. The third, sorry, is up. Natural being denied. These rocks, still though, have about half of their health remaining. Surprisingly long time to get these down, as I mentioned. So, not ideal for Golden. Stardust going for the Stargate. This is something he did against Teffel earlier. And he used Phoenix remarkably effectively. The Roach is building up courage, going, shall we? Shall we take out these cannons? Can we do it? You go first. Rob, you go first. Rob the Roach. There he goes, boldly going forward. I'm going to take down that first cannon, a little bit of micro back. One cannon down, the second cannon will now fall a lot quicker. Microing these roaches to minimize the losses. And it's cleaned out. These rocks are about to die, and that's going to allow the Lings in. There's one Zealot there, one Mothership Core now out on the field. But the Roaches coming across. They're going to join these Lings on their journey into the main base. And Stardust, I doubt, will have been expecting this. He only now sees that those ice blocks have gone. It's not ideal for him. He's not going to be too happy about this. Lings in your main is always a bit of a pain. But still, Mothership Core on its way back. We'll work through it. A couple of Roaches sitting down in the front, but with double cannon there, we'll do a fair amount of damage. Pylon gets taken out. Stardust, a little bit supply block there. The gateway actually out of range, or the Roaches can stay out of range while killing that gateway, which is a big win for Stardust if he can take it down. But with the Voidway now there, Golden is going to have no choice but to lose most of these Roaches. It's just whether he can get the gateway as well while he's at it. It's going to be fairly close, but does manage to snipe it off. That was the only gateway that Stardust had down on the field. And so that is hindering Stardust's production now for the next minute or so. Anyway. More gateways coming through, more void rays coming through. Golden attempting to take his natural and go up into lair tech. Also adding in those spore crawlers just to make himself a bit more resilient to void rays should they try and come and poke and prod. Although void rays poking and prodding is less common just because they're relatively slow, and so if any Hydras were down on the field, you can get them picked up pretty quickly. And also Queens are really quite effective against void rays because they deal decent damage and they've got relatively high health while not being armoured, so they don't take the bonus damage. Robo Facility coming down as well now for Stardust. He's going to be aiming to get out some Immortals and some Colossi. And we've again stabilised a bit. Still a lot of action coming down though across the map. These Void Rays going to have to get involved in the Zergling frying operations that the Mothership Core has started. Couple more Lings coming across, but with the double cannon there, they're not too scary. Speed is also not yet done. If speed was done, I'd be slightly more concerned. There's a gap in the wall there, of course. But for the most part, nothing disastrous. The extractor will get taken down. This hurts the gas income of Golden, and because the gas income's reduced, things like Hydra's going to take a bit longer. Completely forgot, as did Stardust, that those rocks in the back were down, and so in come the Zerglings. They're not going to be allowed out again though. The sentries have a thing or two to say about that. Also back away nicely, keeping the sentries alive, picking off all of those Lings. Great, solid micro from Stardust. And Stardust continues on some pressure towards Golden's third. Both of these two in supply, very similar. Worker count, near identical. And that makes this for a very interesting mid-game. Note, Golden's added in a high number of Queens and is still producing them. This is in direct response to the Void Rays. As I mentioned, Queens very strong up against Void Rays because they've got good health, good damage, and they aren't armoured, so don't take bonus damage. Add in transfuses as well, and you're just in a good spot. I was going to say in your Golden, but that would be a terrible pun that I would never ever make, of course. Anyway, Robo coming down, Colossi coming out after the second Immortal joins into this composition of Stardust. Sentries keeping close guard where those ice rocks once were, and a third base also getting taken. Stardust does have the upgrade lead, the first evolution chamber only just now coming down for Golden, as well as these additional gases only just now being taken. Until this point, Golden only had 2 gases, of which one has been repeatedly sniped off by Void Rays. Not great. The 2 Void Rays have actually paid for themselves pretty nicely. 13 kills between them. 8 workers have gone down. A couple of Roaches too. So in resources lost, Stardust trading more effectively than his opponent, which is always a good thing. Generally, you want to be trading better than your opponent, especially if you're playing up against a Zerg player. You always want to be trading better. Otherwise, as a general rule, you're probably quite a long way behind. Do have the third base. Nearly finished. Gets scouted now by Golden's lone Zergling. Golden also doing a nice job of creep spread. Not quite as far as it could be, but he's had a lot of pressure earlier on. But many active creep tumors, advancing it forward rapidly across the map. This is giving him a nice creep highway, which gives his Hydralisks more mobility, especially before speed is done, just to getting good defensive positions. Roaches as well, being very active out on the map. Roach speed is not done, nor has it been started. Instead, we're just seeing the infestation pick come through here for Golden. Most likely for Vipers, in order to look to get abducts down on things like those Voidways, the Colossi, and Immortals. And if those abducts get out nice, that's where obviously Stardust runs into some problems. The ice blocking the 4th base, the easy to hold 4th base, now getting quickly dismantled by these Zerglings. Probably getting a bit of a brain freeze. Roach is coming over to help, means that Golden's going to be able to get a base up yet again, but for quite a good chunk of time, these two are on equal bases, and that really favours Stardust in terms of income and just overall game position. Their army supplies are nearly identical, but the tech for Stardust is a lot ahead. He's got Colossi out, he's got that kind of tier 3 tech already, whereas Golden, unfortunately, just sitting there on Roach Hydra still. One Queen, quite a long way out of position, gets killed off. Not the biggest loss, but also not something that you want to freely give away. The Voidway needs to be careful. Of course, the Hydra's coming forward. The Hydralisk's really vulnerable to the Colossi if they can get a few nice shots off. Golden pulling back. Wants to get a good attack arc if possible. Love the use of the hallucinated Colossi coming out here from Stardust, because he hasn't seen any Overseers, so instead, just being a bit safe. One Overseer is there at the moment, so would be able to show which was hallucinated. But regardless, Stardust not rushing, and this is what we saw in game 2 and 3 of him against MMA. Playing it very steady, making good progress, but never overcommitting. Golden now, with his 4th base up, is getting back to that spot he wants, which is to be 1 base above his opponent, and things are going to be going pretty steady and trickling along nicely. That probe clearly not in favour of Stardust. He was a militant, he was a protester, and Stardust rules his Protoss army with an iron fist. 4 Vipers now coming through, and Golden adding in a lot of static defense around his main, and that's to protect the Hive. If the Hive goes down, no Vipers for a hell of a long time, and no Vipers means no abducts, which means that this Roach Hydra force dies a horrific death. Vipers consuming up energy now. Blinkstalker's trying to find any avenue to poke and prod. Both sides with substantial armies, but Stardust going to be able to get a bit higher just because he's got a few less workers, so more supply freed up for army when he wants it. Macro Hatch coming through as well now. Everything really gearing up for the late game, and we've got engagement now by the Watchtower. This is a much better position for Stardust. However, some great blinding clouds and a few good abducts grab a couple of those Colossi out of the fight. They're also stopping any of those Stalkers in the blinding clouds from engaging. Regardless though, another Colossus joins, reinforcing through. This is crushing through all of the Hydralisks, and by the Colossi staying up, this is monumentally going in Stardust's favour. He traded exceptionally well there. 34 Roaches are what are stabilising that supply count, but this is an emergency move. Golden is not a pirate, he does not want to be holding down the R button. And now Stardust knows that he's in a good spot. He's pushing forward, going to be trying to trade and continue this pressure through. The Viper's getting sniped off by the Blinkstalkers. Nicely done. It's an aggressive move, but a required one. The Roaches, if they can take out the Colossi, are still going to trade and buy Golden time. This one Colossus did not get the memo that he shouldn't be standing there. He wanted to be a hero, but failed. A retreat from Stardust now. An abduct comes down on one of those Colossi and the Voidway. Although the Voidway with no Hydralisks there, completely safe. Instead, just bringing in range of the Viper. A few more Immortals in the mix. Frantic play by Golden, trying to just scramble together a force that's able to withstand this pressure from Stardust. Doing an okay job of it at the moment, and with the Hydralisks there, he's bought himself a lot more time. May even be able to take this fight, but does Stardust have enough stuff to win? Looks like yes he does, and Stardust takes game number 1 of this best of 3 finals.